Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video, inside our content management system, we are going to be doing two modifications. One is we are going to be able to control if there should be a user profile click here, where you can click on the profile, and we're not going to be controlling URLs in here yet, but we will be doing that later. We're also going to be specifying whether the URLs are going to be showing upon authentication or not. So the brilliant thing we did with this piece of code was that it's all essentially inside JSON objects. So if you head back to our code and we go back to navigation resource, let me just close this down, and as you can see here, we can specify things such as the URL title and external link. So we could also easily just specify via checkbox. There we go. And actually we could, in this case, it may be better to actually be able to spray for multiple different types. So if we head back and instead of using a checkbox, we could also use a select option. So we could call this show for. And we could create options, and we could have one that's called users as users, one that's called everyone as everyone, and then one that's called public as public. So in this case, we can now specify which users should be able to see it and then implement that into our checkbox here. So we could also start out by making sure that all of these are with a capital first letter. There we go. And then again, let's head back to our navigation.blade.php. And let's just see what item returns. And because we haven't specified which ones to show for, let's say this one should be shown for everyone, this should show for the public only. It wouldn't display anything. So there we go. So in this case, let's say Alright, so if we in this case go ahead and say if item show for equals public, and then say else if item show for equals everyone, and then else if equals users. And now in here as well, we can do exactly the same thing. And down here, we want to just make sure we replaces it with this one instead. So we use responsive link. So if I now log out, you can see we have the login here. And it keeps going to dashboard, which creates a small error. So let's go to our fortify.php. Then in here we can see it goes to /home. This is in root service provider. But as you can see, this is showing for everyone. But if I log out, this is showing. And now if we log in, doesn't now go to the home page, which is great. It also works in here. As you can see, we have all sort of use cases here, but we can now actually control who should be seeing this. But the key thing is obviously we need to make sure that when it is show for public, that auth user So in this case, you want to make sure that auth user isn't the case. And in this case, you want to make sure that it has got auth user. And for everyone, we don't care about this condition. So this is for the responsive thing. So let's go up and make sure we have this. Here, for example, perfect, still seems to be working. But we also need to make sure that we actually, before we just make sure that we actually specify it for the sidebar. And we display this for the public only, yeah. So that seems to be working fine. So if I go to Filament CMS, in this case we can't see it, but that's also because this sidebar here, when we created this auth and then guess thing, we're already displaying it here. So we actually want to get rid of that end guess bit, because in this case we do not want us to control it programmed into code. We want to have it controlled in the database. So there we go. Now we have the ability to log in and log out. And as you can see, it works perfectly fine. We have control over who can see it. If I, for example, went in and said this one should be for public only, just make sure that we refresh the page. This one disappears. But if we say it should be for users only, this one appears. But if I log out, it disappears. And now I won't be able to use the page, so I just need to log in again before I can put it back to standard. Just making sure that all of these cases here are working. Alright. So we now have the ability to control who gets to see the URLs in here. And lastly, we want to make sure that our navigation inside the livewire bit only takes this where is active. Is true. There we go. So now we have the ability to control all of that in here. And we're also going to be adding the ability to control the background color, but for now I'm not sure if we want to give it a list of Tailwind classes or specify it in here, because with dark mode that gets a bit more tricky as well. Then we will have to modify it a bit more, so we will get to that in another video. But thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button as well if you liked the video.